After a close fight with the Red Cave Daemons, the group of heroes find their way to an enormous cave, large enough to hold a temple and with lava-filled cracks in the surface. The cave reminds the heroes of a once great battle arena. They look at each other, and by the sight of another group inside the arena, they find that they are the ones to fight in the arena. Their opponents are a group of huge orcs, as well as smaller cave goblins. There seems to be no other way out of this but to fight. Once again we have Galtrin the Knight with great weapon and motivated Raymond the Swordsman with hand weapon, and this time he has a chest wound that he got in his last battle. We have Haleth the Elf Archer with great bow and hand weapon, and now he is crazed, which means he gets one extra attack in melee, and Faywin the Elf Sorceress with bitter rivalry, and she has a spear and she's also a wizard. All of them are toughness 3 and 210 points totally. And they go up against the Orcs. As shaman leader, he is a wizard and he has a great weapon and 3 in toughness. Brute Orc, also toughness 3 and with great weapon. 2 Black Orcs, both of them sergeants with dual hand weapons, and finally a cave beast herd with vicious jaws. And they deploy like this in opposite sides of the arena. There are 2 objectives close to each of the squads. Deployment zone, the skull objective closest to the heroes will give them 1 victory point, and the other one close to the orcs will give 2. And of course the same goes for the orcs. And the orcs have deployed like this with the cave beast goblins in the top left corner, the shaman a little bit withdrawn, and the brute orc on the right flank. And our heroes have spread themselves out here with Galtrin and Faywin on their left flank, Raymond close to the skull objective, and very close to him, Haleth the Elven Archer. Let's roll off. Red dice for the orcs, black for the heroes, and that means the orcs have the first activation. Let's go to round number 1. The cave goblins will activate first. They decide to rush, and when they do so, they have the boing ability that they can rush 2d3 extra, and that means a total of 15 inches if they want. So they can rush all the way in cover behind this rock. Haleth activates first. He steps out in the open and he is within firing range of the cave goblins. He fires 3 arrows with his great bow, needing 4s. And that's 2 hits on the goblins. It's an AP1 weapon, so the goblins will have a hard time defending. They need 6s. And that is a 4 and a 1, so that is 2 hits going through. So 2 cave goblins down already. The unit is still standing though. The orcs have to rush forward. They have no long distance weapons, so one of the black orc rushes in cover behind the pillar. Faywin activates next. She is known to be aggressive and she advances. She uses her drain spell, needing a 3 to go off, and that's exactly what she gets. So now the black orc will be hit with 1 hit with AP4, and he is not able to withstand the spell. So he goes down with 1 wound, and he will be the first to roll on the wound chart. And it's a 1, so he is still in the game but stunned. The brute orc comes forward behind his cover and he rushes up on the battlefield. He tries to stay in cover behind the rock, but we will see. Raymond suffered a chest wound in the last battle, so he is careful. He moves slightly forward and seizes the skull objective. The second black orc is just out of charging range of anyone, but it's not in his nature to stay back, so he rushes forward and takes position behind the statue in the middle of the arena. From here he is relatively safe from charges from Galtrin here, so Galtrin advances up next to Feywin and takes position for the next round here. And finally, the Orc Shaman activates and he seizes his skull objective, and he is not in any kind of spell range. And that concludes the first round of the arena battle. The Orcs have moved forward. They don't have any long distance weapons except for the Shaman's spell. And so far, one Black Orc has been stunned with the spells of Feywin. Now let's proceed to round number 2. Our heroes finished first, so they activate first in the second round. Feywin begins with another spell against the Black Orc in the middle of the arena, but this time she fails her magic. But she's not finished yet. She charges against the stunned Black Orc, and she doesn't need to roll anything. He is taken out of the game and will be the first casualty in the arena. Is now close to the cave goblin, the one remaining, and it charges her and attacks her with 2 duels. 2 rolls needing 5, so one of them hit. It's an AP nothing attack, but she will need force to defend, and that is no problem for Feywin. She can now attack back. She has a spear and 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. And what a poor roll. Not a single hit this time. Galtrin activates and he charges the Black Orc in the middle of the arena. He is known to be a bit unstable with his greatsword. 3 attacks, needing force. So 1 hit on the Black Orc, it's an AP 3 weapon. So the Orc will need a 6 to defend, and he doesn't, so he goes down. 1 wound for the Black Orc, and he will roll on the wound chart. And with a roll of more than 6 total, he will be knocked out. 1 very nice hit by Galtrin. The Shaman activates and attempts an Evil Gaze spell on the Brute Orc that will give him stealth if he's shot at. He needs a 3, but with a 1 he misfires his spell. Instead, he charges against Galtrin with his great weapon. He is furious, so he will get an extra attack for a total of 4 attacks, needing 5s to hit Galtrin. And with AP 2, every hit could be fatal. But not one single hit with his great weapon, and Galtrin is safe. He has already fought, but he can fight back, needing 6s, and what a roll. 2 6s from Galtrin against the Shaman, who will now need to defend on 6s as well, and he doesn't, so 2 hits. A fatal charge by the Shaman here. Haleth advances into position and once again takes aim with his bow. And this time his target is the Brute Orc. And he has 3 shots hitting on 4s, 2 hits, AP 1 weapon, so the Brute Orc will need 5s to defend. And that is a failure, so 2 wounds to the Brute Orc and 1 remaining. And now the Brute Orc would have liked to charge back against Haleth or maybe Raymond, but he is out of charge range. So his only target is Galtrin, who is now surrounded by Orcs. The Brute Orc has Furious and 3 attacks with his weapon, so that's 4 attacks, hitting on 4s. And only 1 hit, but it's AP 3, so Galtrin will have to defend on a 6. And no luck, so 1 wound to Galtrin, who is now heavily attacked and surrounded. But he can fight back. He is fatigued. Sorry, that's the wrong dice. He is fatigued, needing 6s, but once again 2 6s. He is on fire today. So 2 hits to the Brute Orc, who is now in trouble. He will need 6s. and he doesn't get any. So that's 2 more wounds, and he goes down. And he will roll on the wound chart, and with a 3, he is stunned, but it's really, really close. What a fight. But that opens up a great opportunity for Raymond the Swordsman. He charges against the Brute Orc, and since he is already stunned, he is now taken out of the game and will be the next casualty. And Raymond's charge will be the last activation of this round. But it now means that the orcs are below half strength, so morale tests will be made. First, the Cave Goblin, who will need a 5, and with a 6 he is eager to keep fighting. But what about the Shaman, who also needs a 5? He is taking the shortest way out of the arena. And that leaves our 4 heroes in a close to perfect condition. They are all mostly unharmed, and they only face 1 Cave Goblin. Now let's go to round 3. And the Cave Goblin activates and attacks Faewyn. No hits. Instead, she fights back with her spear. 3 attacks. Hitting with 2 of them. So the remaining Cave Goblin here will have to defend 2 attacks, needing 6s. And none of them is successful. He goes down and he will get 2 wounds. And let's see how he rolls on the wound chart. A total of 4, and he is stunned. Raymond activates next, and he seizes the second objectives that will earn 2 victory points. And finally, Faewyn activates, charges the goblin, and victory is secured. The wounded orc shaman speaks as the victorious heroes approach him. Kill me if you will, but we are all tricked into this cave. We are here to spill our own blood and to play an unwilling part of blood rituals and demonic rites. I know we are enemies, but we are also living. Let us join forces, and the living will defeat the undead once and for all in the Red Cave. The heroes are uncertain of the shaman's words and intentions. After moments of silence, Galtrin finally speaks. It's settled then. Together we will fight the undead. So after a short and brutal fight in the arena, an unlikely alliance has been made between the humans and elves and the orc shaman. No one was injured this time, but Faewyn and Galtrin have now both earned 5 experience points through their 3 battles, and they will choose a skill for their upcoming next fight. And that fight will be with the orc shaman further in the Red Cave. Thanks a lot for watching this battle report. I hope you'll join me for future Bad Reps.